The time is 7 p.m. Tonight's invocation. Please stand. Let us take a moment before we begin tonight's business. We gather tonight not just to manage the present, but to shape what North Canton will become. May we make decisions with the next generation in mind, not only the next headline. Give us the foresight to plan wisely, the courage to invest in what matters, even when the results take time, and the humility to build on the work of those who served before us. Let tonight's discussion move this community one step closer to the place we all want to be. We ask this in service of our neighbors and to North Canton's future. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Ott, will you please call the roll?
Member Pierpont.
Here.
Member Orr.
Here.
Member Wyrick.
Here.
Member Matheny.
Here.
Member McLeister.
Here.
Member Pratt.
Here.
Member Stocker. Here. 7 present.
Excellent. I will make a motion to approve as presented the minutes from the June 15th, 2026 City Council meeting, the June 22nd, 2026 Committee of the Whole and City Council meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes pass. I believe no one has signed up for public speaks. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. We will move on. Old business. Mr. Ott, will you please read the title of ordinance 24, 2026?
Ordinance amending various provisions of Chapter 927, sewer rentals, and Chapter 937, water rates of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton to set water and sewer rates for 5 years, effective with the billing cycle that includes January 1st, 2027 through the billing cycle that includes December 1st, 2031.
Okay. Mr. Stocker.
All right, so thank you. This is the third reading, but I do believe that we have some proposed amendments. Is that correct?
Harry, but you want to take up the rest of the chapters 927 and 937, not just the rates, but the things that are defining the rate structure. So those weren't in the first 2 readings. Apologize for that. We definitely want to do them out before the third final reading. So 2 of those things in the water and in the sewer part that we are redacting is that multi-units will be billed based on number of units. And instead, with the new rate structure, it'll be based on meter terms, just like every other meter. So we're removing those 2 items. The meter regulations, there was a sentence in there that said all new services shall be 1 inch or larger, and it really should have said all new service lines. So that's sort of a typo. Not really changing anything, but we're clarifying the language. And then in the sewer rentals, have 1 other, the outside city rates. In the past, they started out as calculated at a 200% inside rate. With the new rate structure, they'll be at 170%. So not quite 200. We talked about the fair and equitable. So those are the only changes. There's language changes on the penalty, but we're not changing the penalty. I think it's currently written as your bill is increased by 10%, but if you pay within the first 15 days, it's reduced, and that's just, I think, hard to understand. So your bill is what it is, and if it's paid past the due date, there's 10%. So we're not changing anything there as far as what we're doing. We're just doing it.
And then, as it relates to the reduction from customers outside city, we're going 200 to 170. That impact, Gina, is not perhaps as significant as it seems because far fewer outside of city customers.
Right. So outside city, we have 2,863 outside of city water customers. No outside city sewer, just outside water. And we have over about 6,400 inside city customers for water. So it's not currently at 200%. That was the structure when it began, but because of the percent increases that varied over the years since the last rate study was done, I think this past year it's at like 1.8%. So so we just needed to realign that with the WWA ratios, which we are again, fair and equitable, and so that is recommended.
And is it safe to say that the majority of our out-of-city customers are businesses?
Not necessarily.
No, okay.
So residential.
Okay,
and
okay.
Belleville Village obviously is fine.
So, does anyone have any additional questions in light of the amendments that Gina spoke to?
Did you say that we're gonna change it from like 3/4 to 1 inch to the new service line?
It's still going to be 1 inch, but the verbiage didn't say service lines, it just said only services. And it's listed under meter regulations, so we just wanted to clarify that we really didn't have service.
Most houses now have 3/4.
Five meters, 1 inch service line, 5 inch.
So it's getting reduced down to 5 inches.
The meter is, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to amend ordinance 24/2026 as presented by finance?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. I will make the motion to adopt the third reading of ordinance 24/2026 as amended. Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item 7B, Mr. Ott, will you please read the title of ordinance 25/2026?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton to enter into and execute an agreement for the exchange of real estate with the North Canton City School District and authorizing the transfer of property owned by the city in exchange for property owned by the district and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Okay, so there was a question that came up and legal has not responded with an answer yet. So I would like to make a motion to postpone consideration of ordinance 2026 to the July 13th, 2026 council agenda. Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move that to the 13th.
Will that be after the school board meeting? Because they picked
No.
that,
It's on the
School board
15th.
meeting's
It's
on
on-
the 15th.
is on the
2 days later.
15th? Okay, thanks.
So we're still good. Thank you, John. Okay. Mr. Ott, for 7C, will you please read the title of ordinance 33/2026?
An ordinance authorizing the city of North Canton to enter into a natural gas program agreement with the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council for the purpose of establishing and implementing a natural gas aggregation program within the city and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Stockbridge.
All right, so, this is the second reading of the aggregation. I don't believe there are any changes, so, as presented, previously.
Any other questions from council? Is there a motion to adopt the second reading of ordinance 33/2026?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 7D, Mr. Ott, will you please read the title of ordinance 34/2026?
An ordinance approving the plan of operation and governance for the NOPEC natural gas aggregation program for the purpose of jointly establishing and implementing a gas aggregation program as a NOPEC member and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Stockbridge.
So obviously, this is the companion, and this is essentially the execution. And hopefully there are any changes. Okay, so no changes. If there be any additional questions?
Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the second reading of ordinance 34/2026?
Motion.
That motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will make a motion to set 2 public hearings for ordinance 34/2026 for July 13th. The first one at 12 noon and the following one at 6 p.m. on the same date. I get a second for that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving right along, we're into new business now. Mr. Ott, will you please read the title of ordinance 31/2026?
An ordinance establishing chapter 372, mobility devices of the codified ordinances of the city of North Canton, thereby establishing provisions for the use and operation of mobility devices within the city.
Mr. Pratt?
So again, this is, ordinance, proposed legislation would establish,
Can you speak up? Please.
so the proposed legislation would establish chapter 372 of the codified ordinances of the city of North Canton, regulate the use and operation of mobility devices, including e-bikes, motorized scooters, electric skateboards, and similar devices. The legislation aims to improve safety for operators, drivers, and pedestrians. Defines the key device types, sets the requirements for lawful operation, including minimum age limits, helmet use for riders, and required equipment such as lights, reflectors, signals, and mirrors. The ordinance restricts where and how mobility devices may be used, such as limiting roadway use to the streets with speed limits of 35 miles an hour or less, requiring adherence to traffic laws, and mandating safe behavior around pedestrians. It also outlines prohibited conduct, including unsafe operation, unauthorized modifications, and improper parking. Like last week, this is basically, currently, bikes are people on the street, are obviously like a car, the circumstances, and with the e-bikes, we haven't caught up with, basically rules of the road for those. This would help, create that. It goes into, as far as when the police can, tow one if they need to, and also, it involves, basically, involving the parents when, these laws aren't abided by. So, Liam, is there anything else that you think we need to cover on it, or?
I think you just about covered it as far as my end. I'd pitch it over to Chief Kemp if he has anything he'd like to add.
I thank you for going to that long explanation on it. What this does is it encompasses everything under one ordinance for us instead of being separated out like many of it is. And it's trying to fill in that loophole because technology keeps getting ahead of legislation. So this should be technology proof a little bit. It also gives that ability to hold the parents accountable for what the children are doing.
And as far as, it's a separate topic, but it gets confused, I think, a lot. If this is about e-bikes, it's not about the, for bikes that are electric powered.
Well, this very much points out e-bikes are legal to be on the road. If it does not have pedals, then it is an electric motorcycle and which is required to be under the same licensure as a motorcycle by a licensed driver. Otherwise, it's a dirt bike that shouldn't be on the road.
And there's already state laws for.
There's already state laws for that. And that's the avenue that we're going after with that. And the whole purpose of this is because of the safety of the children. We want them to be safe when they're out there. It's unfortunate we need to set parameters, but it has been demonstrated that without setting parameters, sometimes common sense goes out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no driver wants to experience anything negative. No parent wants to get a phone call or anything like that. So I think this is helpful in ensuring that, people on bikes, are operating, like cars.
Yes, I did have a question. So last meeting, Member McClister very eloquently explained it to everybody, maybe most especially me, about pedals and pegs. When you just talked about pedals. Yeah. Okay, if it doesn't have pedals, that's dirt bike and that's on the road. So my question is more about pedals. Unless I missed it, I don't see anything that says that the motor assist vehicle with pedals cannot be operated on the sidewalk.
it does not prohibit it from being on the sidewalk. Right now, sometimes the safety place is on the sidewalk. However, there is provision within that, I believe, that states that they're not supposed to be used motor when they're on the sidewalk.
They can use the motor, but they cannot be operating faster than a pedestrian walking pace, is the language we finally settled on.
It's written in there is the courtesy to the pedestrians. Yeah. Bicycles don't have the right of way, the pedestrians have the right.
Caution and pass. How enforcement that?
It provides us the ability to have the law so that we see it. If it's not a written law, then we can see somebody do something that you're going, that's not, wasn't very courteous. Well, now there's a little bit of legality to that courtesy.
Well, Dan, to your point, Jeff, I mean, I'm not a police officer, so I don't wanna step on your toes, but as a cyclist, I can tell you a time when I was doing a charity ride, this guy kept passing him, like there's nobody he's passing, well, he had a lead bike, and he was just pedaling, so to that point, when somebody's simply pedaling, not just operating with the thumb, they may not know if they actually know that road should be. Now, if they're going significantly faster than they should be, that would be, unless you have any other.
The other aspect of this is not just the bikes, it's the one wheels that are floating around the community out there. It's the skateboards, that are motorized skateboards. The technology on those just keeps going leaps and bounds, and amazes me of some of the stuff that's coming out. We want to have somebody that puts some type of guardrails on them. And again, at the end of the day, it's not the enforcement side of it that is one to go after, it's the safety side of it.
And I think you mentioned too, Chief, that, given these boundaries now with this ordinance, it also allows you an opportunity for education. And stuff on the top.
Absolutely, our first step would be our first attempt is to educate. Sometimes most times it starts with the kids. And that doesn't take effect, it leads to conversations with the parents. This also brings in the aspect of when we have conversations with the parents become knowingly aware that their kids are doing unsafe practices on the roadway. We don't want to make a phone call to your parents. Yet, what it doesn't fix is a lot of times when some of these kids run from us. We won't chase a kid on an electric bike very far. My guys will turn, but as soon as they notice somebody's running from them, they don't chase them. Because that will be the blame when that child goes out into traffic. Because they're just trying to get away from us. So my sergeants are very aware, my officers are aware that
Safety first.
safety first.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chief?
I just had a housekeeping question for Liam. On this one, can we get through 3 readings but then pass on emergency to put it immediately into place? Since it's a safety matter? I was asking if we can get through 3 readings on this and then place it into emergency to, since it is a safety related matter, to put the ordinance straight into effect. Is that a possibility?
That would require an amendment of council. If you would like to do that to amend to add an emergency provision, you may.
I would prefer to add it. I feel like it meets the definition for an emergency passage. And what we're saying is not to rob 3 readings from the public to speak on it, but when we finish the 3rd and approve it, it would immediately go into effect rather than wait 30 days. That's what I'm looking for.
Jamie just put a motion on the floor.
I will
so
second
is
that.
And Holly seconds that. Okay, motion to amend or add the emergency clause. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, then I will make a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance 31, 2026. As amended, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Liam, will you please read the title of resolution 32, 2026?
A resolution in support of accepting the 2026 Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces Master Plan.
This is Ms. Myrick.
All right. We discussed this in committee. Council wanted to continue the discussion of the plan, so I think we just are going to open that discussion. Whoever would like to start, is welcome to begin.
We, why are we doing this? First of all, is my point, we've never done it in the past, and all we are doing is accepting and receiving. We don't have to do anything, it's in the plan, we could do it all or not. I think it's, we're going against what we've done in the past.
That's not true. When we had the last city master plan, we actually made adjustments, and it was several months after we first got it. And so it was a lengthy process,
But
so.
we're just making, what is it, acknowledge, we receive, that's all we're doing here, is how I understand it.
It is written slightly different. So the previous one that you're talking about, Jamie, did say the word knowledge. This one does say accept. Might I recommend that you change the language to it? That might be helpful because in my opinion, I was just talking about this the day before, a master plan is not written in stone. You're not accepting it to do the things in there. There's a couple things I spoke very specifically about not liking. But that again, like John said, it doesn't mean you have to follow it. You can choose to edit it. Administration can edit it at a later point. To me, you're accepting the work that has been done. And I think that's a slippery slope because you could be construed as contesting the opinions of the residents who we had over 600 North Canton residents participate in this.
That's not true. 27% were actually non-residents.
There were over 1,000, 60% were city residents.
We took, what I saw, and again, I only had the appendices as of today, so.
Yeah.
Over 100 pages, I wasn't able to read it, so forgive me. What I saw is that the survey was 613 respondents, and perhaps our consultant can confirm or deny that. And what I saw was there was 27% of those were non-residents. The largest responding group was non-residents, so it would not be 613 people.
So let's say it's 50. Are you going to not listen to the 50 residents who spoke and gave their opinions specifically and contest the data? That's the slippery slope that I'm talking about.
Well, I think actually the consultant told us last week that it was not statistically significant data.
There's still the opinions of the residents, your constituents.
Right.
They're the ones that gave and participated in all this survey to tell you what they wanted to see to do. That's the data. So you could say it's statistically not, eligible, whatever. But if somebody comes to public speaks and raises their voice, what's the difference on whether they participated at the podium or gave a survey to you? You see it in the appendices. It's still the direct conversation your constituents had with the people. It's all about the work that's done. It's not about the plan. We can edit the plan. I think your discussion should be, what don't you want to see in the plan?
I mean, we can get into that, but I know that I had a few questions about this data. Is it a problem that I'm questioning the data?
I don't think it is, but if you attack the data, you could be construed as attacking the residents. That's what I'm throwing out.
I don't like the word
I don't
attack.
think it's
That's
attacking
not what
the
anything's,
residents.
we shouldn't use that word here.
Dispute, disagree, contest, what word do you want to throw in there? It's,
Analyze.
okay.
Analyze. Like,
That's
there's nobody
better.
here fighting it. We just want to get it right. So I'm just gonna back up. I had requested a working session, and for those that were present were aware of that. It didn't work out because of our schedules, and that's no one's fault up here. So we had agreed to have this working discussion this evening. However, shortly after that meeting, a few of us made a request for the appendices of this plan, and there's 6 of them, I believe, that were not provided to us until 4:15 p.m. this afternoon. And they are hundreds of pages. And so none of us had a chance to go through it. So I'm just gonna motion at this time to table this.
I don't want to table this, but I would be willing to postpone this until July 13th.
Then I would need a working session because the information that I did see in the appendices is even more concerning than just the plan itself.
Why were the appendices so late?
Actually, that's a good question. When were the appendices provided to the city?
Soon as I got them, I sent them to you.
And when was
I can
that?
show you.
When was
Today?
it?
Yeah.
You got them today?
I asked for them on
So-
Friday and they weren't ready. They said they'd be ready on
Okay.
Monday, and they were ready today.
That's concerning,
Yeah.
because.
They're very large.
formatting them all. We had everything. When
Sure, but you can understand that as the taxpayers who are paying for the plan, and there is an item in the appendix that I saw today that jumped off the page at me, and it said the stakeholders who have reviewed this along the way included city council, and that is not accurate. And so we should have had an opportunity before the last meeting to have input on it. We were not provided that opportunity. The public should have had an opportunity to provide input on it prior to the last meeting, and they were not provided that opportunity.
Which
If
is
you
not
want to go
included
back to
in the agenda.
2023 in the master plan, there were at least 2 sessions held throughout that time period where the plan came back and meetings were held at Walsh for the public to attend and have that input, and that should have happened here with both the public and city council. So that's really my objection, is that the data is concerning. There's not been adequate time to review the materials sent to me. I cannot support it at this time. The way it was worded in the initial email about how we were gonna go about this was a ceremonial acceptance of the plan. And I don't feel like I can ceremoniously accept it at this time. So you can delay it, but if you delay it, I am requesting a working session. We are approaching summer session. Schedules may be rough. So I'm going to
We can
motion
vote
again
on
to
this
take.
till- I don't wanna table it, because if we table it, and it doesn't come back in the very next meeting, which is Monday
Right.
next week, then it's dead. So we can
Spent a lot of
postpone
money
it
to have
anytime
this
we want,
information.
So
but not use
but we're
the
not
meeting.
finished with it, I guess is
Let
where
me,
I'm
let me
taking
just
that
ask on the
stance.
stats you gave, I'm reading the email that was sent to me. It says the survey respondents, 73% were North Canton residents. 73% indicated they lived in North Canton, 12% in Plain Township and 8% in Lake Township. So I'm not sure, where did you get the percentages that you had?
I got it out of the appendice, I mean. I'd have to
I'm
go back and
reading
find
an
the
email
page
from
it
John
was.
that said,
Well,
No.
even so, statistically, it's not going to change the overall results. They're pretty much
Right.
consistent across all of the plans that Branstetter has put together in the past. And our parks are used by individuals that live outside of North Canton, even though
True.
residents are supporting it. People that work in North Canton are supporting parks through their income tax also. So taking into consideration those that are outside of the city that wanted to respond to those parks, I would conclude that they've been to a park or two. So
And
it's
I
not bad data, it's just,
I also want to say
Not good
recommendations
data.
from the plan were not just from the survey and the engagement. Like we talked before, there were the stakeholder group meetings. The people that use the parks facilities, people that are, in the
So
sports.
can we
groups.
talk about that real quick?
Well,
Because,
real quick, can I just
stakeholder-
dovetail into what Dave
yeah, go
was
ahead,
saying?
please.
So, first off, I am not discrediting the people who responded to the survey.
Mhm.
I appreciate the
not.
people who responded to it. In fact, if there's somebody from Jackson Township, Lake, Plain, or whoever who comes to our parks, I think that's fantastic, and that speaks volumes to the work that you've done, Catherine, and that the other people on our staff have done to provide amazing parks. What I have a problem with is that there's a stat in there that said, and this is where they said there was no statistic significance, that there's 67% of the people would support a levy. And it was said, when we discussed this last, well, it might be closer to 50-50. I get concerned about relying upon data from somebody who lives in another municipality. While I think it's great that they come here and enjoy the parks, they don't have the skin in the games that the folks in this room do who would actually foot the bill, whether it's through a property tax that I've heard mentioned multiple times, or the taxes that they're paying now.
Well, can I just say though, no one's being asked to support.
They were asked in survey.
No, but no one's being asked to actually support it. I understand that that's a question, would you support it? But the city of North Canton at this point is not requesting that anyone actually go to the polls and vote and say yes. So I would say, with respect to what everyone is saying, I feel like the discussion is getting a little bit far afield from the standpoint of, talking about a levy and talking about this. We are, whether we were talking about accept or acknowledge, we hired a consultant. We hired consultants all the time to do a variety of things. We hired a consultant to advise the city of North Canton as related to our water and sewer rates. We didn't have a massive discussion about, Ed's methodology at that point. We just didn't. And I can understand that this is a big deal. I know that. But this is a resolution that is simply saying that our partner, who are experts in creating a park. This is what they've done. It was a year's worth of work. And now they're handing it over to the experts of North Canton, i.e. us. And we are to basically take a look at that report, decide what we like, what we hate, what's intriguing, make it better, or discard it entirely. So I feel like, and I know that the phrase statistically invalid was used, but I don't think that the presenter was referring to the entire study in a whole. I don't have time to go back and read the transcript to see exactly what she said. I don't even, maybe it was your colleague, but like, I feel like we're hanging an entire weighted conversation upon one phrase that is being frankly given too much weight. We're acknowledging, if that's a better term, great, acknowledging that our partner has done work that we're going to then use to help us. We can accept all of it, none of it, or some of it. That's all. That's all this is. So that goes back to John's very first question. Why are we doing this?
My thoughts on the statistic validity is not based solely on the comments that they put here. I mean, listen, in the medical world, I deal with statistics. Not that great at it, to be honest. I'm not gonna run a study. I look at them and I could tell that it's not statistically significant.
So the council who was here when we made this decision voted in favor of hiring Branstetter Carroll to complete a plan that was not statistically valid. The council did not want to spend the extra money to have the statistically valid survey. We could have done that. We did not.
Can you elaborate more on that, please?
It would have cost more. I don't know how much, but it would have cost more. There were already a lot of questions about the money that was being spent. So it would have cost more and it would have taken more time. And we were on a time crunch, right? We had a pool decision coming up that we wanted information about. Once we have this plan, we can go out and get grants for parks because we have something that says, hey, we know what we're doing. We actually put the time in and we have a plan here from professionals who know what they're talking about. Because I worked to sell to the previous council getting this approved. And one of the ways I did that is we had spent $164,000 between 2017 and 2024 on park assessments, architect fees for plans that we never did anything with. We were throwing money away. So now we've got something that at least says, at least in the back of it says, hey, if we're going to make some repairs, here are the critical ones. This is what we have to do to get ADA compliance going. There's a lot of really good information in here. There's stuff that some people aren't going to like. Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is what we paid for. We did not pay for statistically valid.
To send a postcard to 17,000 residents, and I'm not saying that's exactly what should have been done, but that can be done for $2,000. So I don't know, this cost the taxpayers $123,000.
Could we possibly ask the folks that do this for a living how much that would cost?
It typically take costs when we do that. We hire an outside consultant that does this statistically valid surveys. That's what's called a statistically valid survey as opposed to just a regular survey. It costs between $12,000 to $15,000 depending on the size.
But what I'm kind of getting at is a postcard that had just the link to the survey that was already created, that people did participate in, whether it was at the Dogwood event or a 720 market. Like I said in the last meeting, we had methodologies. We could have put that link out to more of our residents for free on our side because we could have printed it on a water statement. We could have sent it out through the text message. So I'm just saying, there's ways to get that out in more hands. It doesn't have to be a broader survey in my mind. It needed to go to a wider audience. That's what my concern is.
We did have a QR code and we did push that out everywhere. It was in the letters and the newsletters that were mailed to homes. It was
right.
on
The newsletters were
website.
mailed to
It was on the
every
Facebook
resident.
page. I mean, we did the best we could, not having paid that much money for a professional agency to do
Well,
it. We
And
did
we're
the
not
best
gonna
we
do
could.
it now.
But we
Like, we're
can't
not
go
No,
back.
it's too late, and that's the
So-
concern is
So
because
that's
there
when
are,
you can say,
It
there's
doesn't mean people would
over
have taken
$30
it
million
too.
of recommendations in the booklet. If we were to put them all together and do everything it recommends, we would spend $30 million.
That's not
Now,
what
we
it's
know we're
saying
not
we
gonna
have
do
to
that,
do.
right?
No.
We
But
don't
my
have
point
to.
is, those recommendations are based off of that limited data, that very small number of people
they're
who
also based
responded.
on some experts who came
Okay,
and looked and assessed our
sure.
parks, who
So
do
can
this
I give an
professionally.
example? And
One person?
Yes,
of course, there's a picture in the booklet of a dugout of the Little League fields, and it says, we need to put shade in these. Well, they took the picture, I think, probably in the middle of winter or early spring before the season started. And had they actually had the conversation with the league, they'd understand shade is provided already. It is something that they put on every year before opening day. So there's little things throughout this whole booklet that I just feel like we missed out on. We talked about stakeholders, and the term that's used throughout a lot of it is focus groups. And I spoke with at least 5 of the organizations that are referenced in this book, and none of them had a focus group. All of them were one individual, a 30-minute, maybe Zoom phone call at best. There were no focus groups. There were no multiple people who used the organization spoken to, no parents that use them, no athletes that use them, no residents who don't use them. There were no focus groups. So I just feel like the language is a stretch at times, okay? But let me step back. The scope of the project was to allow me as a council person input on this plan. I have not been provided that yet. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm sorry if you cannot understand that, but
Would you be better off if the wording was changed and amended to, instead of accepting the 2026 Parks and Recreation and Open Spaces Plan, but to acknowledging receipt of that? And then what we do with it once we have it,
Exactly.
change it, adjust it, get more input, isolate certain things, allow Mr. Elkins to say, here's my priorities, here are the community groups that I'm getting involved with. And then we could get enough done with the existing parks plan that we have in hand, and the things that need to be done for next year's budget. Budget season's upon us. We just got an email. When are those dates? August 1st. So if we want to be able to move forward, we could change the verbiage to say, acknowledge receipt of this plan.
So you'd be willing to move forward with an incomplete plan that we're not all in love with?
So are you suggesting then that we give it back to Brandstetter and pay them more money to make it more complete?
I'm suggesting maybe we come with some of the ideas we were expecting to talk about
We can do
tonight,
that,
and we can tweak it. So you're willing to vote on it and accept it before we tweak it?
accepting receipt of it.
Yeah,
What we do
receipt.
with it after we have it doesn't matter.
Can I ask Mr. Elkins a question? So let's just say that we acknowledge, or whatever the correct term in the last 1 minute is, this work. What would be your next step as director of the Parks Department, and like what kind of a timeline would you imagine it might be to actually execute anything within anything?
Well, it's gonna be within a year. I mean, there are things that you have to do, like an ADA assessment and transition plan. That's a requirement for the ADA as a Title II agency. So that has to be done. I'm currently working on a grant application through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. We will, as a matter of fact, legislation will be coming to City Council next week, requesting authorization from the mayor's office to file for that grant through ODNR. Stark County's been allocated just over $82,000 through ODNR for next year. We're requesting funds to renovate the sport courts in Price Park. When you have a document such as this, and I cite this document in any grant application, it earns us points. Any grant application. If you delay this, and I'm not telling you what to do, this is just the reality. If this is delayed, the grant application is due July 15th. It's gonna be postmarked by July 15th. If this is tabled, wrong word, Mr. Matheny, this is, delayed until August. I wouldn't feel right referencing this particular plan if council has not acknowledged it or has, just receiving it, if you will. So there is value to the plan. You dispute the data, the validity of the data. This is my third master plan I've been through in my career. The wants, needs, and desires don't change a whole lot between communities. There are certain components of a community that make it unique. Dogwood Pool and Arrowhead are certainly those two unique amenities within your community that makes North Canton much different than many other communities.
So if I could, follow up. So you mentioned that you've been a part of 3 master plans. And I'm imagining that you have read and looked over other cities or municipalities' plans, probably, something you guys do over coffee, I don't know. You're aware of what other cities have. How out of the ordinary, out of line is this report? Or is it basically within keeping of every other master plan you've ever seen?
The 2 master plans that I've went through in green, this is very similar. But I also want to reiterate something that I said maybe a little over a month ago, is that the administration can't do anything in this plan without coming to city council. There may be things that the administration comes to city council and asks for funding to do that isn't in this plan. Because things do change in the community. Dynamics change, politics change, council members change, mayors change, priorities change. So I think what is being discussed here tonight is healthy in that we're acknowledging the work that Brent Senator Carroll has done in putting together a plan for the city of North Canton. It's a tool that Catherine, Jason, the mayor, and I will use to itemize priorities within the park system. I've already identified some of them. And we're working towards, putting together budgets for those that will be coming to you for funding for next year. To have this accepted in a resolution by city council is advantageous when asking for grant funds.
Based on that timeline, we're at a disadvantage because you said July 1st. If tonight's the first reading, the next Monday's the second reading.
July 15th.
July 15th, yeah.
Yeah, but if today's the first reading and next Monday's the second reading, and then we go on recess, we don't come back to August for the third reading, it doesn't get signed, it doesn't go in effect till September.
When is the meeting in August?
17th is the first.
Okay.
Would it be
So-
okay to say that we have a
Yes.
plan in the grant
Yes.
application and by time that the review is?
And then once this is accepted by or through resolution, I could send it to ODNR.
But again, they're a vendor, okay? They did what we asked for and they gave their plan.
Yes,
So we should just vote on accepting this today.
and I just want to clarify on the stakeholders. Yes, they were large groups, but when you reach out to a stakeholders organization, you say send a representative that represents your organization. It may not ask every parent and every athlete and every person that's on the board. They have a representative that showed up. I didn't control that. I just said to them, we'd like to have a stakeholder meeting with you. North Canton Little League, North Canton Soccer, North Canton Lacrosse, North Canton Youth Football. Whoever they said they wanted to be on, and they were Zoom calls because they're more efficient. They were somewhere, we were somewhere, they were somewhere. And I think they were open-ended as long as it wanted to go. So we asked questions, they asked questions, the consultants asked questions. And they kind of just chatted back and forth, what are your pain points? Tell us about your community, tell us about your league, tell us about, everything that it takes to run your, organization, and it ended when it ended. So there wasn't any subscribed, time. It was
So
just cut
to
to
go
30
back
minutes.
to the original question, would council feel better if it said a resolution acknowledging receipt of the 2026 Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces Master Plan from Brent Senator Carroll Inc.
I still have a couple concerns beyond the data, I guess, and we've talked about Little League a couple times. I'm concerned about some of the things that are being asked in here as far as Little League goes. To my understanding, that property, and, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, although I don't think anybody in this room was here at that time. It is my understanding that property was given to the city for the sole use of a Little League field, and here we're talking about upending a decades-long relationship. So I would almost like to, you can interrupt me a second, I would almost like to see that data, or that section completely taken out. I also have concerns about the Arrowhead section. I mean,
I get it, there's concerns, but the question that I'm asking is changing the language to acknowledging receipt of this, not accepting what's in it.
Right.
Acknowledging receipt of this, that we sent out a contract, they fulfilled the contract, we've received it. What we get to do with it, what's gonna change with the Little League,
Exactly.
the questions that we have with Arrowhead, all of that has to come to city council because it's gonna require budgeting.
so what meeting are you gonna propose to bring it back for us to tweak it then after we acknowledge accepting it?
Once we accept it, then it doesn't need to have a public meeting to go through and discuss it. It's a matter of having meetings with the Parks Department. We could have a committee meeting if you want, but in essence, it's being utilized as, here we have a plan. I'm expecting stuff back from Mr. Elkins saying, here's what I prioritized in here. Do you think he's gonna bring back changing Little League fields?
I don't think so.
No, that's just something that's gonna be Xed out. So let's take it for what it is. Accept receipt of it, and then allow administration or Parks Administrator to move forward, getting grants, getting funding, and getting us the dollars, because August, we're gonna decide what capital improvements do we wanna do in 2027.
I'm going to oppose any negative impact on Little League's fields, and I'm going to oppose a 9-hole under 3,000 yard golf course. I mean, that's, I guarantee it.
Why
It's
is
not
it
gonna
in
happen.
here then, I guess is the question.
It's just
The
a recommendation.
Does not mean
Right,
we have to.
but again,
One person, please.
Oh,
The point is, what's in here may or may not be utilized in its entirety. The idea is this vote, this resolution, it's not an ordinance, it's not a law, this resolution is accepting the receipt of the plan.
well, I would be acknowledging that I'm receiving a plan that did not follow the scope of the project, and I was not offered an opportunity, nor was the public to have input on it. That would be the only thing that I would acknowledge at this point in time. I'm sorry,
Well,
that's a fact.
The
It
public
costs
will-
123,000 taxpayer dollars. We currently cannot pave streets in this community. So I just want to make sure they get their money's worth for it, and they're given that opportunity, and I'm given that opportunity as a voice of them. That's all I'm asking. So if it's a delaying issue and we're putting off grants, I don't want to do that. But I don't know that we're gonna come back to the table and have the true working session opportunity we should have had, all 7 of us together, to go through it. The appendix that was sent today is far more alarming to me, what little I've seen, than what was previously provided in the booklet. The Little League piece should have been yanked by now, pending the conversation we had 2 weeks ago. As passionate as I was, and maybe some others, it should have been missing from here by now. And instead I receive Appendix F with this huge 2-page system-wide recommendation that is very alarming. And I don't know why I'm still receiving that information if it's already been expressed as a council member. So input's not changing anything apparently.
I did want to clarify the verbiage for the record that things like considering putting rectangular fields at the Hoover complex or the 9-hole golf course are not actually recommendations. They're options. So if you look in the recommendation section, it says summary of options. So I just wanted to communicate that. We could quibble over what that means, I guess, but I would characterize that as these are things for the city's consideration, not even that they're being recommended per se.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Jason. I think it also depends on what the topic is. Under Arrowhead, it does list it as options for sustainable community recreation. For Little League, it actually says recommendation. So the wording's a little different depending on the topic and the plan and the appendixes.
We change that word. Can we accept? Can
If
we
you accept the
acknowledge?
plan, the administration can do whatever you got
The
to want. It's the
administration.
communication
But
that's
like
happening.
if that word is the
Yeah.
thing,
I'd like to add something. You know, most of us here are elected officials and serve at the will of those elected officials. If all of us are gone next term, is someone else gonna follow this book? Because I have a problem. That's my concern.
It still has to be voted upon. It is the plan of, I mean, technically, Liam can correct me, but procedurally, council appropriated the money and gave the authority to go ahead and seek these consultants to provide this. They've provided it. It is now the plan. It's the administration's plan, right? So can council, do they have the authority to make changes in the plan? Or is that not more
I
the
would
administration?
argue, no, you can ask it, but it's kind of a checks and balance.
Louder,
sort of.
please.
The contract was with the mayor's administration. The council's authority was just to appropriate the money for it.
And then we would come back. That's why, again, there would never be anything administration's gonna do from the plan without the authority of council. That's the checks and balance of both sides.
I would
I'm not getting
also,
caught. The council sets policy in the city, and I would think that we could change that.
I would also say that
I don't
The-
think you have to vote to do that. I'm already telling you guys, that's not gonna happen. I'll remove it.
Then let's remove it.
It's the
Let's
administration.
do it right now.
I'm fine with that, but you have to acknowledge the receipt of it. I mean, it's the work that has been done.
Yeah.
The legislation is not editing the plan. It's accepting the work that is done.
And
That's a whole
So-
different conversation. If you think you're going to the point where if we're not doing it, then you would enact legislation to change it. But give us the opportunity to change it. I've said it how many times now?
Right.
That's not gonna
And
happen.
then,
Okay, so real quick, Holly, you brought to my attention 2 weeks ago. Wasn't it said in the scope of work that they were to come to council?
Yeah.
And get our, I mean, it was referenced in here somewhere, I think it was on page C17 of the appendices we got today. I think it was 17, that they got the opinions of council. Well, they really haven't, because we would have nixed that before it came back for us to vote. Am I missing
Well,
something?
Can I just speak about that for a second? So I may not be on the board of the North Canton League at this point, but I have literally bled on those fields. And I respect beyond words that I can even state the work that President Jamarco and Mr. Meter have done. We all do, right? We all do. The fact that there is a report that talks about what could possibly happen with North Canton Little League, we can sit the property. We can sit here and we can say that it's flawed, and maybe it is. But there's also some additional information that we're probably not even thinking about. And what I'm referring to is the fact that there is a beautiful new baseball field that Hoover High School just built. It's a full turf baseball field. And you know what's happening right now? They're installing lights. So why am I talking about the Hoover baseball field as it relates to the North Canton Parks Master Plan? Because there is a baseball field that's tucked at the very back of the North Canton Little League complex that one of the tenants of that field is the freshman baseball team from Hoover. Do we even know if the freshman baseball team intends to use that field after the Hoover baseball field is open for lights and open for business, so to speak, for more hours? One of the other tenants is the Hoover or the North Canton Travel, whatever their name is. Once again, do we even know that they are going to utilize that? So I appreciate the concept that people are saying that the North Canton Little League complex is sacrosanct. But I feel like there's additional information that's at play that might make a different use of those fields. I would also point out that we're not just talking about the stuff that's inside the fence. We're also talking about the parking lot, and we're talking about the empty field that's next to the parking lot. We're talking about that entire parcel. So once again, we can debate even more about what the plan says, whether it's a recommendation or an option. It's simply accepting that a partner did some work. They had an idea. Some of the ideas are great. Some of them are bad. Some of them are in between, but they're all provoking. They're thought provoking. And that's where we come in. That's where the city administration comes in. That's all we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And if someone feels that it's not fundamentally sound or whatever, then don't vote for it.
All right, well, I'm gonna make a motion to amend the title of the resolution to the following. A resolution acknowledging receipt of the 2026 Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces Master Plan from Brandstetter Carroll. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
no.
No,
need a roll call, please.
Member Pierpont,
No.
member Orr,
No,
member Wyrick,
Yes.
member Matheny,
Yes.
member McLeister,
No,
member Pratt,
No.
member Stocker.
Yes.
With 4 opposed and 3 in favor, motion fails.
Motion failed. All right. I was under the understanding, Mr. Orr, that you wanted to acknowledge receipt of this.
no, not with the changes you made.
Oh, okay.
You made changes on that,
You're gonna make this die.
okay?
Like,
This is what they presented, okay? If you like it, vote for it. And I feel you're a vendor. The next time we do a Parks and Rec, I don't know if you would want it or if we want you back, but this is what they gave us.
So the motion was to acknowledge receipt of what they gave us.
You made some changes.
It was just
That's
to
the only change
retitle.
I made,
That's the only
change to
change.
the title.
You
That
made
was
a
the
change.
only
You
amendment I
made a
made.
change.
point of order, are you trying to relitigate a
No.
vote that just happened? I mean, this is really
No,
inappropriate.
I think,
We did a vote, we did a roll call.
yes, we did.
I would also like to mention that as it is a contracted piece of work, regardless of council's approval, whether this is approved or it dies on the table, is voted down, the administration will still receive the plan.
Right, and it goes in the file.
May I ask a question? What was the amendment that we just voted on? What was the
Just to
actual amendment?
retitle it to acknowledge receipt.
So we're not talking about any of these possible changes, like striking the Little League. We're literally talking about changing the word. What was it? Accept into acknowledging the receipt.
That was the motion.
So with all due respect, I don't think that's relitigating. I think it's clarifying.
He was badgering him over his vote.
Yeah, they were badgering, and we voted, and then we took a roll call.
That was just for clarity's sake.
Okay.
So the plan goes on file, correct?
It would have gone on
Also,
file
that
one
was
way or
just
the
a
other.
retitle. There is still,
Oh,
potential
okay,
for first
thank you.
reading.
We can still postpone it.
Got it.
We don't have to turn it over to Mr. Elkins to use for grant money. We can postpone it indefinitely. I'm not gonna table it. Because tabling it means it dies. And the resolution is resolution in support of accepting the 2026 Parks, Recs, Recreation and Open Spaces Master Plan.
But we did just hear that if it gets tabled and it dies here on the floor of council, the plan still goes on file at City Hall, correct?
We
Okay.
just can't use it for grants,
Well,
because you didn't acknowledge it, right? I mean,
We can't, yeah.
council's acknowledgement of it truthfully would have no bearing on.
That's correct.
Like-
This is not a legal
is
and
that
binding
true,
decision,
Mike?
a
I don't
resolution.
know that that's true.
It certainly bears more weight if council would accept the resolution to accept or acknowledge the plan.
It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, because I think if we had had some tweaks, I certainly would have supported it. I support parks, I support a lot of what was in there. There were just some things that I had questions about.
And nothing in there has to be worked on. Receiving details.
Yeah, that didn't help. It matters much. Why did we get it at 4:15 today?
That's how long it took to get it formatted
Oh,
properly.
You had a year.
So at this point, in order to move this legislation forward, we have an option. As council, we can postpone it, or we can take a vote and move it to the second reading. If it
Point of
passes,
order, we just held a vote.
We voted on the amendment.
The vote was just to retitle.
Just to retire.
The item itself is
All
still
it
in.
was. It wasn't to change the legislation, it wasn't to add anything, it wasn't to take anything out
So we're voting, okay.
So now
So
we're
now-
voting on the original language.
of accepting.
May I add to the discussion?
Absolutely, Mayor.
So what if we offered to remove the two parts that I've specifically repeated over and over and over? Would you be, and you don't have to answer, and I don't want you to answer, but thinking of it, would that make you more apt to accept the proposal?
What are the two parts?
The Little League fields being replaced with rectangular fields and the 9-hole Arrowhead development under 3,000 yards.
That, and
By
if you add a disclaimer that the information is not statistically valid.
It's already there. That's already in it.
For the, I don't believe.
It's not written in there.
I have no problem with that.
If that is added.
I mean, this is a discussion. If, I think it's very important to have this acknowledged so we can use it to get grants. If we have a better opportunity to get grants for parks for our constituents, I would want to do whatever I can to do that. And that's why I'm offering this discussion to you.
I appreciate your willingness.
Let's try to make it work.
I appreciate your willingness to have this discussion because moments ago it felt like it was this way or no way at all. So thank you.
That's not what I said. Actually, I said neither of those things would happen. And if you would like to amend it, we can do it. But you have to acknowledge receipt.
Well, and the thing is, it is very difficult to explain to a community that we received 100 pages of text at 4:15 today, which we've not been able to read. I mean, that's not an opinion, that's just fact. So it's very difficult to vote on a matter when I've not had a chance to read much of that. And so I'm not comfortable with that, and that's unfortunate that that's the timing that took place, but that's an undeniable fact. I'm sorry.
I was all in favor of postponing this, so there would be time to read this, so there would be time to place your edits involved there, but it pulls us out of the July 15 potential for any kind of a grant, because at this point, you can't even state that it's been accepted under the first reading. It has not been accepted as receipt of the product.
Do you want to do it or do you want to do it right?
So, hey, Mayor Matt.
Yep.
As far as the pool, no promises of a location, right? You don't have a spot for it. You don't have to put it at the middle school. You don't have to put it, at the Civic Center or anything.
Clean slate.
There's no promise of anything in this plan. Nothing is a promise.
I'm
Nothing.
just making sure because these are the hot topics that are out there and people frankly deserve to know about the pool, about Arrowhead, about the Little League and anything else that anyone else can think of that's in this plan.
I think it's smart on things like that to take your time and get as much public feedback as possible. If where is the best location? I don't know. Let's find out. We have time to do that if we get the final opinion of it, or final resolution of the land swap. We buy time on that. And I think you take time to do things right. I mean, this again, the land swap is a transformative event. We have to get that right. But a big piece of that is going to be grants. And that's going to directly affect your vote right now, or whatever it is. You can vote to postpone, and that would buy more time to do it. But in the long run, not having it acknowledge this could potentially hurt grants. It's that simple.
So President Matheny, let me just seek clarification because this is getting overwhelming on the timing of things. The possibility of postponing to July 13th. What are our key concerns with that?
Your concern would be the only one I would know, and that would be you wanting that working session between now and Monday.
Does not impact his grant writing deadlines or delay any of that?
Well, if we don't have the working session, are we going to vote in favor of passing the first reading?
The answer for me is no, because I don't know where, and that's just a mechanical thing for me, by the way. I don't know where else I'm supposed to provide input. I can't email all of you by law, right? I have to do that in front of people, so I can't do that. So when and where am I supposed to provide my thoughts so that everybody can have that discussion on it? Am I supposed to wait until that reading?
So once we acknowledge receipt of what has been presented as options and recommendations, nothing cast in stone as must-haves, here's an ordinance, you have to do it. Only acknowledging receipt of this product, then it goes to administration. It belongs to the mayor and administration. Changes to this can be done as a group with administration. Here's what we want to do. It still states in this copy that I have, it says draft. We could publish this later as a final list of here's our priorities. We took this and this is what we're going to do in 27 with our capital improvements. We can move forward with anything after we receive this.
But we've had a vote. It was 4-3 no, as far as
change
amending
the
it.
title. Just the title.
Amending it to receiving it, correct?
Yes.
So we've already had that vote. That's not
So
what
now
I'm
we're gonna
asking.
accept it.
I'm asking if we motion to postpone consideration of it to July 13, what are the ramifications of that? That's my question.
The only ramification there is the vote on the 13th, whether there'll be enough time to have a planning meeting that you want to edit this
No,
whole document
That's
between now and Monday.
6-7 days away, so
You can talk about your schedules right now. and try to get a date
For
if that's your
Mr.
concern.
Elkins' deadline, if we
I'm
have,
still gonna submit the grant application. It's still going
Please
to go in, with or without a resolution
Good.
of support.
Right, it's just fewer points attributed to our grant.
And I just want to reiterate real quick before y'all look at your schedules, what the mayor just said. This is not the end of the public process. We will involve the public throughout the entire implementation of the plan. I've already got meetings set up with the youth sport organizations and other groups in the city. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning of public input.
So the mayor made an offer to, what if we removed the 2 pages or whatever of references to the Little League? So let's say that we did that. That doesn't preclude Elkins or anyone from a year down the road proposing something that has either a direct or even a tangential impact upon North Canton Little League. That's not the purpose of this. It's just simply to say that our partner did some work. And we're gonna take it under advisement, and we're gonna take this back out to the public, and we're gonna talk some more to them about it. That's really all. And I do respect the idea that maybe some of the methodology hasn't been awesome and perfect. But I would also point out that the previous council was offered an opportunity to do it a different way. You're shaking your head no, but it seems as if that's the case. And the previous council said, no, let's do it this way. And I mean, I think on some level, it almost creates a precedence that nothing, that the next council is never going to be bound by anything that anyone previously has done.
That's always been stated about resolutions.
The point I'm making is that it's almost a philosophical, like at what point does this become too much? Like, we didn't ask our sewer and water guy about his methodology. That has a pretty significant impact upon every single resident and water customer.
I will say that I tried this presentation pretty thorough. And by the end of it, I think we all understood.
And that's probably why Gina recommended that we do what he asked. That was a deliberative process. I mean, that's what the council would be doing. That's what the administration would be leading, and we would be doing that. There would be a deliberative process. Mr. Elkins said, I want to do A, B, and C. And we say, yes, no, maybe.
The difference, to answer your question, I'm looking at it right now, we were just talking about it earlier. This is an ordinance, it's actually changing the rates. That's what is different. This is acknowledging receiving work, which I've heard tonight matters, it doesn't matter. We're trying to, I would like to adjust this to get this a little more in line with what I think a lot of us are feeling. And then accept that change. First, I mean, to Dave's point, it still says draft on here. If it still says draft, let's change it. And it's like that.
There's members of council sitting here now who participated in the 2023 master plan. When I reviewed all of those meeting minutes, and yes, I did, that started way back in 2021. And at points of time, it came to council, and council did not like it and made changes to it before it finally passed in 2023. We're sincerely asking for the same consideration when we're putting together an expensive plan such as this that could have some holding here. Because why? Because we're about to get 20 acres of land from the school district that could make a lot of things in this booklet a reality. Okay, so I respect the things that have been said here tonight. I'm asking for that respect in return as a voted in council member representing the taxpayers to make sure they get what they paid for and are given the same opportunities through me or them to make amendments to it before we accept it and put the rubber stamp on it and say, yes, put it on file in City Hall. There's precedent for that here, folks, in the 2023 master plan.
Can I speak to that?
Sure, please go ahead.
Love to. For the 2023 master plan, there were no council members involved in the writing of that plan. They were not on the steering committee. That plan was given to us, if I'm remembering correctly, a week before it was going to be presented to us by someone who did not live in the community, did not work in the community, was a friend of the mayor, had not discussed anything with any of the stakeholders in the community. And that's probably an exaggeration, but of some of the primary stakeholders in the community. And so I feel like that was a very different situation. I think what's hard for me here, and I hear you, I get it. Do I wish we would have involved the entire council in this somewhere along the line? I absolutely do. I feel like we've been working against a timeline since it started, right? We have this deadline. We wanted information about the pools. We had to do this, talk with the schools. We knew this thing was coming. There was a timeline we were working toward. But I was there. I'm a council member. I'm your chair of parks, right? I am your chair of parks. The vice chair of parks was there as well in these stakeholder meetings. And I know it's not the same thing, but I just keep thinking several of you, I think it was who Holly, Dave, Andy, sat down with Liam and with Chief Kemp and put together e-bike legislation. Did I read every single word of that? I have not read every single word of that. I have not gone to Chief Kemp and said, is this fact actually right? Like, where did this come from? I've not done that because I trust that y'all were there. You're working with the experts. I would like to be trusted that I was working with the experts, that I was asking these same questions, and that we're not lying when we say, it's a tool, it's recommendations, it's possibilities, it's not anything that we're tied to. It's the way it's done. I followed what we were given. We followed the timeline that came to us. The council was represented.
And I know that, Christina, that you are like the best person for parks. I know it's near and dear. I just think that, you know, in fairness to even Jeff joined on late because we joined council, you know, last year in December. And this book didn't even come out, the draft. When was the draft finished?
When was it sent? The same council before the last council meeting.
March, April, somewhere May. I just can't
We got it at
remember.
the
We're in
last
July now.
steering
Yeah.
meeting.
So May.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
So, I mean, we joined in December 1st, then we went, on recess, and we came back. And, I mean, how many months did we really have before that draft was not already being typed up and sent? So we've not really had a lot of people representing council. We've got the people on the steering committee. There's Catherine, Brian Hill, who's not with us. He's retired now. He left, what month did he leave? March.
After how many years running parks?
45.
45.
45, but no changes were ever done, right? Based on what has been said, he was just maintaining what was there.
No.
I mean, he didn't change parts, I thought someone said we've just been in a maintaining state for this whole time.
The difference between the positions, I think is what you're referring to, as more a strategic analyst position versus an operational person. Brian's more
And
operational.
so, I mean, obviously Brian Hill was an amazing employee for all those years, could fix anything and come up with anything, so I'm not going there.
Yeah, he knew our parks well.
He retired in what month?
March.
And then Steve Shank, he's on here running the pool and the parks. That's a great fit. Jason, he's been on here. Tricia, she just joined the city. When did she start?
She started in November.
And so she was a month before me and Jeff.
That was due to, there were some staffing changes. There was a different person on originally, and she resigned and Tricia came in. Tricia took her place, much like Jeff took a council member's place, and, you know, Brian exiting, and now Mike's taking his place.
And then Christina. And so I guess, you know, feel like we've lost a lot of people that were on this when this first started, which was, when was that? That it actually first rolled out? The beginning of the Parks Master.
Was in,
I think we hired the consultant in August, I wanna say, last
August
year.
or September, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe it was official in September, started work probably in late September, early October.
what you were saying basically, Andy, is we had representation from council as far as chair parks and co-chair,
We've only had one
vice chair
person,
parks.
one person from council that's been on it the whole time.
Because council had a change. It was Stephanie Warren. She was co-chair or vice chair of parks. So the council representation were the two chairs in parks. The administration representation was myself, the deputy director. And then from the parks themselves was Brian and Steve. Yes, we had changes in employment and in elected officials, like, I heard you say. Somebody said along the time that this plan will go through, there will be changes. There will be different people in these seats. There will be different people in those seats as we go through. And this is an example of it. From when we started to where we are now, there have been changes.
I think that's exactly why I think it's important that others had their chance to voice their feedback on this report. And while I wouldn't doubt for a second that Christina would not be the person that I would put on there if I don't have one choice, I would. But based on how this thing's written, we're, supposed to have our chance to have our. And I just feel like we have that chance.
May I respond though, Christina? You have some great points. I think you are the right person on this. Without a doubt, everyone here agrees with that. I, as an elected official, am always going to read as much as I can that's put in front of me. That's my responsibility to the person that put me here, right? If you don't read everything in an e-bike legislation, that's your take on it and that's fine, but I'm going to read it. I want to read it. That's why I've requested the appendixes back on June 25th and received them today at 4:15. I'm concerned why it took so long for those to get us in the first place. This is one of a few things that have made me express some concerns about how this was drafted and the whole process from beginning to end. You said they did a job they were supposed to do. I would argue that the request for proposal has the scope of project in there and that was not followed. That is fact. There's no contesting that. So we're just simply stating, at least I am, I won't speak for anyone else, that I have concerns related to that. I have not been given adequate time to read all of the materials here, and it is my responsibility to know what's in here before I acknowledge it and say, okay, resolution passed.
Holly, can I ask you a question?
Please.
What would you feel would have been an adequate amount of time to read and understand all of this?
I would say that I would have thought what would have been adequate would have been the original scope of project that stated somewhere, maybe 2/3 of the way through this. However, it was a council meeting, a special meeting, whatever it is, it was supposed to come to the public for input and then back to consultant. Then it was supposed to come to council for input, then back to consultant. Then it was supposed to come to council like it did last meeting for us to finally start saying, let's accept this master plan on file. So to answer your question, in a perfect world, I would have liked to have had that opportunity that I was supposed to have 2/3 of the way through it. Since I did not, that's why I asked the last meeting, could we please have a working session to fill that void? That would have been the responsible way to do it. Timing was such, it did not work out. Now tonight, we were supposed to have that conversation, but I also had made a public records request for the appendixes on the 25th of June, stating I'm going to need some time to go through that by our July 6th meeting tonight to be able to start voting on this resolution. So that's where my timeline is in my head.
Okay, so when you say come to council for input, do you mean to say that are you saying that you wanted that to be officially presented on the council floor? Or would it not be sufficient to have to, or are you not referring to the one-on-one meeting that you and I had the morning of the fire station groundbreaking, in which we spoke for a half hour or so and we hashed over some things and I handed you the booklet
So I would say that's not appropriate time to ask for my input because you're handing me the booklet.
No, I was not asking you for your input at that point. We had a half-hour conversation and I handed you the booklet. And as far as I know, the other members of the steering committee made every effort possible to give that booklet to the same people. I had the same meeting personally that I had with you, that I had the next day with Mr. Pratt. And I believe that Christina also had meetings, one-on-one, to try to provide this. So,
But what are you
I'm
trying
gonna interrupt here for just a second. This conversation is what transpired in the past. We can't change or fix anything in the past. What we need to do is make a decision as to how are we going to go forward from here. So postponing to a future date, we can have this discussion. As far as having a working session between now and Monday, I'm out. I got a charity event for Akron Children's Hospital Thursday night. I got an all-day event in Columbus on Friday. My son and daughter-in-law and grandkids are coming Saturday. It's not gonna happen between now and Monday. We're gonna have to submit probably without a final vote, but we can postpone this indefinitely, or we can postpone it to the 17th. That gives us the entire August break to come up with a date and time that we can meet and go through line by line, everything that's in this book. We need to find a path forward tonight.
right, and the only reason I was bringing it up is that part of the reason that there seemed to be resistance to accepting in the report, or whatever the right word is, was that there wasn't enough, that presumably or allegedly there wasn't enough time for input. I'm simply establishing that members of council had this information for multiple weeks at this point.
But handing somebody
No,
a
I'm-
draft is different than seeking.
I was handed 100 pages today at 4:15 PM.
Correct. So now we've got information. How do we go forward? When do we want to have the working session as a committee meeting for Parks and Recreation?
Well, it sounds like you're not available over the next 7 days, correct?
This week's done.
Okay, so next Monday is our last meeting before summer session, correct?
No. There's a
Is there one
committee
more?
meeting-
Do we have one on the 20th?
There's a committee meeting on,
I thought next week was last. No.
oh,
That's it.
committee of the whole is August 17th. So next week is the last week meeting before summer recess.
May I interject?
Absolutely. Trying to
You guys
find a
don't
path
have to
forward.
have 7 people
Mhm.
at the meeting. You just need to have 4.
It's true. But it will not be an effective meeting if the only people in attendance are those who want it.
Not disputing that. I'm just
Okay.
saying it's not dead because
Yeah.
one person or 2 persons can't be there. You can still have a discussion. You can still share your ideas, because ultimately, if it is up to administration to change it, we're listening. We're willing to, I don't know how many times I can say it. I'll change it because the 2 things I specifically don't like are the ones you guys don't like. So whatever your feedback is,
Well, my schedule
Share
is, I'm open all week.
So moving forward, not meeting all 7 individuals, you can have this meeting without me, because I'm gonna rely on the members of this council to make the decisions of what recommendations and what options and what suggestions are in this, that you wanna remain in this or don't wanna remain in this, so that our parks administrator can move forward. So I'm okay with it. We can schedule a time between now and Monday's vote.
What is, I'm confused on, we have a working session. So we have Nancy back again for the working session, okay? And then Nancy takes what's decided in the working session, edits the plan, and then that's the plan.
you guys could vote on, I mean, it's, that part's up to you guys, the legislative process. If you want to change the wording to this, to say, I'll accept receipt if you do this, I have no problem with that. And then we'll make the changes afterwards. Like, my goal is to get this passed so we can use it for grants. It's the baseline information that we paid for. There's no doubt about it. It did, there's some great stuff in there
And for
that
budget.
Mike can use as a tool. And I mean, he said it multiple times. This is a valuable tool for him.
Yes.
Whatever we need to make it happen, let's share the ideas and make it happen.
I wanted to offer a piece of context, and if this isn't helpful to you, forget that I ever said it. But since the appendices came up a couple times, I've been involved with probably 36 plans over the course of my career. Transportation plans, housing plans, parks plans, facilities plans, neighborhood plans. It's not unusual at all to get appendices at the very end. I mean, they're typically documenting, this is no shade whatsoever on our good consultant, but they're typically boring. They're ancillary information. I just wanted to share that context. I don't think you're gonna find anything in the appendices that is gonna change your opinion about the plan or change your view of the recommendations or the options or however you wanna categorize those. So I'm not saying the appendices are unimportant. I mean, if they were, they wouldn't exist, but it's not unusual in a planning process to get the appendices at the very end. In fact, that's basically the only time you could get them.
Could I make a motion that we accept this pending any changes coming forward?
I'm not sure I followed them, except this pending changes.
Pending.
Before we get a second for that,
Okay.
to vote, we need to determine when you want to make these changes, when do you want to have this meeting to discuss this? That's what we're trying to figure out. The next step moving forward is this additional session of what you want removed from this before willing to accept receipt of it.
Or we could do that, name the date, but
That's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to come up with a date.
if we approve this pending any changes, okay? It helps us with grants, okay? And that's the main thing, gives it more points on the grants. So we could pick a date in August and have that done. So maybe August 24th.
We can do anything. I was just trying to come up with a date for,
There, it's also worth mentioning that as, again, the administration will receive this plan. There is no obligation that that happens here, as all 7 of you,
Right.
after the plan is on file with the administration, you are all free to meet with him ad hoc individually. That item is no longer appearing before council. And you can meet with him individually and share your thoughts, and what he does with those thoughts from there are under his purview, since it is on file with his office. You guys can move forward with accepting the plan just so that it is on file, and you can meet with him individually afterwards as well. Many options available to you.
Mr. Bond, when would you like to have?
I'm not the only person requesting this, by the way.
When would work for you? Because I've already
This
told you.
week I'm available on Thursday and Friday,
Okay,
morning, noon, night, and any time after that.
so you said this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday, we have planning commission in the evening.
John, you said you were available all week?
Yeah, with the exception on Thursday, it'd have to be later in the afternoon.
You're planning to meet here?
Well,
There's an event
we
here
have
Wednesday.
this, he wanted a date, I gave him a date, why can't we vote on it?
Oh, I just wanna let you know Wednesday there's an event here.
Christina?
It sounds like Wednesday wasn't a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday doesn't work because planning commission's in here.
Yeah, but, yeah.
That too,
that
yeah,
event
and then
is
everything
outside.
over there.
Yeah.
Not this week.
Not this week.
Like, is this gonna be a 3-hour meeting?
Yeah,
A
well-
1 hour, like, what are we?
No,
What, cause
look, I'm just gonna, let's just put to bed. Go ahead and vote on it tonight. I'm a no. I don't wanna keep you guys. It sounds like it's a big effort
it's
to
not that, I'm
have
just
this that should have taken place in the first place, so.
Can't change the past. All we can do is.
No, but we don't need to put a plan on file that is not following the scope. There's concerning items in it, period. I can meet with the mayor one-on-one, I can go through it, but then you're not part of that conversation and you don't get a say. You know what I mean? That's the whole purpose of the conversation.
I'm not, I was asking a valid question. I have an hour available here, 3 hours available
Sure.
here. How many
We're all
hours am
busy.
I looking at?
An hour, I don't know, I don't have an answer for that.
I
don't,
mean,
unfortunately.
you're all available right now.
Yeah, I know, it's,
You
Well,
could
it was
amend the
supposed
meeting
to
to add
happen.
discussion of this and add it after
It was
this.
supposed to happen tonight, right? That's what we talked about, but we also had anticipated having the appendixes in our,
Oh,
But that's why it's not happening tonight, is because you don't have all the information, you don't have all the appendices to go through. Do you wanna make your recommendations and then accept it tonight before you have a chance to read the 100 pages you got at 4:30 tonight? I thought that
No.
was the contention.
I'm not able to make any recommendations at this time.
Right, so we can't fix it tonight.
Yeah.
We can't amend it tonight, we can't adjust it tonight, because we don't have all the information, and individuals didn't get it till 4:30 that they want to read that, so moving forward.
Liam, could they accept it?
You may accept that
But-
it exists, which is what this resolution would do.
And then we will give a promise, or you can add a disclosure that I will amend it. If you would so trust me to amend it, because I think, again, we are all on the same page with what we don't want in there so far. And continue the conversations of what we don't, because this buys us another week for the reading.
we have a committee meeting next Monday. Why don't we just postpone it and discuss it at the committee meeting next Monday?
That would
It's
just move it
already
to the
on
next council meeting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
You could delay it to the next
Yeah.
council meeting, and has left committee been numbered, and
Yeah, it's up to committee.
Well, can we make a council
do it?
meeting next week?
there is a council
Oh,
meeting.
there is a council, okay.
You have to double up next week.
Okay.
I mean, we could discuss it, and I think, and again, I do wanna state that I appreciate Mayor Stroya's willingness to remove those sections, the ones that I have contention with. I mean, we really could discuss this, I think we could come to common ground at the committee meeting next Monday. And we could move it to the agenda immediately following, foregoing a council report and give a first reading next Monday.
So we would need a motion, Liam, to move this back to committee?
So functionally, what purpose does that serve other than just delaying? So just asking, so it already has a title, it has already been read for first reading. You can delay that first reading to the next meeting and accomplish the same task that you
Can't
would.
discuss it in committee if we pass the first reading.
You don't have to discuss it.
It doesn't
You could
have to be in
discuss it
committee.
at a regular council
That's
meeting.
the question,
Meeting right
that's
now.
the question, to discuss it in committee.
Well, that's
Do it in council.
six, one half dozen of the other, yeah, that's fine, yeah. Are you
So
okay
You
with
may
that?
also approve
Great with that.
the first reading tonight, and then on second reading, I believe the mayor is.
I don't think we wanna have the first reading tonight, I don't think there's enough votes to pass it, we're gonna postpone it
I'll make a motion that we postpone this item
to July.
until the July 13th city council meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. 7C, Mr. Ott, will you read the title of ordinance 33, 2026?
We're past that. We are on to second couple speak.
I on the wrong page.
Totally
Thank you.
understand.
Flip the page over. All right, recognition of public, nobody signed up for public speak? Is that correct?
Is my understanding, yes?
All right. Move on to department reports. Mayor Stroya.
Already? All right. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate the discussion. It's not an easy thing. But my promise to you is let's make it right. I think that's fair. I think we're all on the same page for that. So I appreciate the work. I do appreciate the time spent because I watched an engagement happen and it was impressive. The community got involved. They stood and were very interactive with everything. So I appreciate the data. I appreciate the baseline that it provided because we've never had anything like this done. So it does give us a basis, an inventory, a tool to use for grants, a great tool for Mike. So I want to go on record saying that I do appreciate that. And I think you all do too. It's just the semantics behind it that we all need to get on board. So let's continue the communication and make it what we want to make it, right? So, all right, some housekeeping stuff. So I'll skip that part, it's running long. We are continuing with the temporary relocation of City Hall. So everything is running as normal. We have technology to bridge the gaps of everything that we're not in person. at City Hall. It's over here. So when the public has issues or needs to come in person, they come to the City Center instead. Timeline. What's in? This is bless you all, because it's a small place for a lot of staff to work in, and it shows that you guys really get along because you're on top of each other. It's impressive.
We will, in all likelihood, still be here when you come back.
Yes.
August 17th. So,
Yeah.
but hopefully not too much longer after that.
Yeah. We had an employee appreciation day where we cooked food and we had fun for an hour, and said thanks to all the city staff and everything. And I want to give a special thanks for American 250 for fire, police, dispatch, EMS for working all hands on deck for all those hours. City staff specifically, I mean, Trisha was there for 16 hours on Saturday. Same with me. That was overall a great day. And we had a record-setting YMCA race. We had record-setting parade attendance and record-setting night attendance. I won't talk about the drone show. Could be better, but yeah, whatever. I'm not going to beat a dead horse on that. Summer concert series is coming up on July 16th at 6 o'clock. On July 18th, there's the Heart and Home Handmade Market, and that's at the Civic Center. And then on the 23rd, there's also the summer concert series as well. And welcome to Ryan Copeland, who got sworn in just before Johnson. And I think that's all I have.
Reading of the Declaration, July 8th.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and the makeup of the Hamilton would be there as well. Yeah, good call.
Ms. Mulder.
If you like, I changed the name. It's
Dude.
officially legally changed now. So. Yeah, everything Mayor said, great America 250 celebration, a lot of people, and boy, what a day. I mean, we battled everything from scorching heat, as you all know, walking in the parade with the heat coming up off the asphalt and just your cheeks were completely red by the end, to dodging the rain later as the vendors came to set up at 2 o'clock. The skies opened up and the vendors opened up, then shut down, then opened up again. It was big and there was a lot of people, and Chiefs let me know that many people, we really didn't have any significant incidents happen. So that's really great. And yeah, the drone show, we were at least pleased to see some balanced comments that some people did say, that there was appreciation for it. 100 feet more and it would have cleared the building and then everybody would have been able to see. So that was disappointing to people. And so yeah, we're having a conversation with the company that provided it, just to, always learn from how things go and how they can be better. But yes, the movie is here. It's also the reading of the Declaration of Independence statewide. So everybody across the state, I guess, at the same time, or is it just the same day? We're all reading it. So it's going to be outside on the gazebo. And then I don't have the details yet from Trisha, but the plan was to show Hamilton again here, but I'm pretty sure it's indoors and not outside. That was all set up Friday night with a 60-foot inflatable screen, and then the winds came in and could have taken that to back door. So we pulled it down real quick. But yeah, this is where we live now. City Hall services, finances down in the executive session room. Out there in the card room, we have the building department along with front desk of administration and front desk of utilities. And then the rest of us pretty much sit here all day and all night now in these seats in the council chambers. That's all I have.
Mr. Secretary. So following up on Catherine's name change, I'm pleased that you have 2 city administrators with good Hungarian names.
Hungarian now.
Yes, she's honorary Hungarian. But in all seriousness, like we talked about with the City Hall renovations, they are going well. It probably will be after you come back that we get back in there. But good changes happening on the first floor, both in the police department and in the lobby. We're putting a conference room and there's some restroom renovations that should be really nice. There's a lot of HVAC work going on behind the scenes. That's proceeding well. Same thing on the fire station. No news is good news. They're moving along. You've probably noticed every day as you go past the site, it's a little different. I would anticipate the next couple months, it's gonna look a lot different. And, I think Beaver's been doing a really good job for us. They've been really communicative. We have a check-in every Monday, sharing with our team where they are with the project and, onward and upward on that. So that was all I had to report.
Mr. Elkins.
Just to reiterate, next week you'll have legislation in front of you regarding the grant, opportunity through ODNR. And again, that's to rebuild tennis courts, at Price Park and the basketball court. We're also looking to, add pickleball striping on one of the tennis courts at Price Park as well. The courts are well beyond their life. They're really in bad shape. And we believe that by resurfacing them, providing multi-use between pickle and tennis, we do get a lot more visitation at Price Park.
Good, thank you. Director of Finance, is that all?
The audit has been filed. No material misstatements, no adjustments, no clean audit. So we're very happy about that. It get filed on the deadline of June 30th. The auditors were taking it to the last minute, but they have multiple projects, and we understand really like to done as early as possible. Never seem to get it done earlier, but it is finished. So that will now go to the state auditor for peer review, and once that is released, then we'll send it out.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
Thank you. Council Clerk, Mr. Al.
Nothing major, just wanted to say it was great to be a part of the America 250 parade with you all, and to be a part of the dunk tank lineup. I had a lot of fun. I think most of you will speak about it that were involved. I think we all had fun. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Council reports, Mr. McLeister.
Yeah, I got a number of things. I don't have a prepared statement tonight, so please bear with me as I fumble along. First thing I wanted to just mention is, and I thank Catherine for this, I think last week, I guess 2 weeks ago. She deserves another thank you about the sidewalk that was put in over there up Orion. I actually got to meet the wife of the resident who's in a wheelchair, and she was really excited that was in. You sent me a picture last week while I was on vacation. I think that was one of the neatest things to receive while I was on vacation, just knowing that you were able to make a very small accommodation for somebody that, would mean a lot for somebody with limitation. So I believe you deserve a thank you again for that. So thank you so much. As for this past weekend, man, holy cow, what a Saturday that was. From walking in the parade, big thank you to the JCs. I am certainly biased as a former JC myself, as is my colleague Christina. Big thank you to them. It takes a lot of work to put on the parade, so big shout out to them. And then to all the city staff members. And I'm not going to name everybody because certainly I don't know who all was involved. I just know that we really came together, as I said, not we, I mean the professional staff. We got to do the fun things like the dunk tank. But big shout out to every single city employee who was involved in Saturday, especially Tricia. I know you know how hard she worked. I thought it was a fantastic day. And no comments about the drone show, although I share what Catherine said that there were some balanced comments on Facebook as well. So I thought it was just an absolutely fantastic day. As far as tonight goes, tonight was an uncomfortable meeting. But I want each and every one of you to know that I do really appreciate the conversation we were able to have. And, I, for one, love and support parks. There were things that I had concerns about, and that's where my hesitance came from. But I guess I also want to throw out and just say that, Christina, forever and always, you're like Leslie. I literally cannot watch Parks and Recreation without thinking of you. because of your passion. And so I know you've done a lot with this, and I don't want you to think that my concerns are any way, you know, anti-you, because I think you've done a fantastic job. So just thought it was important that I share that. And I'm very hopeful that on Monday, we can all have another, while it might be robust discussion, but hopefully it will be fruitful, we can move forward and give our fantastic new parks guy, Mike, the tools that he needs to get us some grant money. So that's all I have to do.
Mr. Pratt?
Yeah, I guess I'll second what Dee said. I also appreciate the fact that, Mayor Matt is also on board with some of those changes and areas of concern. So I'm glad that we can, hammer those out as a whole and then move this thing forward. Hopefully. I look forward to being able to help us, with grant funding and making things more affordable. Wanted to thank, Kathleen for getting unmarked vehicles in the cities marked up with magnets. We had them for a long time, just me observing it, you know, living here forever, pretty much. And, I just noticed that they disappeared, or not everyone had them, and I think that it's good to have transparency. And, you know, if people see a slow rolling car, that it's not a suspicious car, it's a city car doing, maybe checking a ditch or a pothole, a project, and that, you know, no cause for alarm. So I think that's good. So I'd like to thank her for that. Our guys are out working all the time, and it also lets taxpayers know what they're paying for. And to see them actually out there on the job, otherwise they're not getting credit. Their credit's due. I'm working on a project right now, see if we can get some sidewalks possibly put in over on Jonathan. I've got a meeting tomorrow with, administration, and Mayor and, Jason and Rob had already, like, after I reached out to them, they had already, the next morning, they had already gone out there and checked it out. Regardless of their decision, I appreciate the fact that they are taking it seriously, and are out there trying to see if we can help, a group of citizens in that area walk safer. There's a gap on Jonathan where there's basically no sidewalk up by Orchard Hill going towards Everhart. And even though the sidewalk's not all on one side, it's kind of split. They don't really even meet that you can cross the street and join them. So, we're gonna see what kind of ideas maybe can come to light with that, tomorrow. So, thank you there. That was someone else that I've got to check out a section of Bumpy Street over on Sunford. She had talked to me at, festival and expressed her concerns. And another, I guess, topic just to share with the public as a whole. Another citizen that I met with, he thought that it was appropriate that we disclose the fact that we have flock cameras in the city. And I told him that I had no problem letting the public know on the floor of council that we do in fact use them. We only have 5 of them. And they're mainly at entrances to the city. That's about accurate. So just in full transparency, they do exist. You know, they use them as they need to. They're not everywhere, but you know, kind of helps fight fire with fire. That gives them another tool to go after. You know, we have car break-ins or anything like that. It's a tool that they can look back on and try to solve crimes. And also wanted to welcome Ryan Koblenz to the police department. Myself, Jeff, Holly, and the mayor had been asked to speak at the library with a group of concerned residents regarding the land swap that the, I guess it kind of lends some of the parts master plan. And so, anyway, I just wanted to say thanks to all of you for going there with me and meeting with those residents. That's all of the right. Thank you, Mr. Strucker.
Yeah, thank you. We'd also like to congratulate Officer Copeland on his swearing in, and thanks to Mayor and Member Pierpont, Member Pratt for joining us over at the library to talk about the proposed land swap. I did want to, I'd like to celebrate, kind of keep the Independence Day and America 250 going. I'd like to celebrate a true North Canton patriot. World War II Navy veteran Earl Hickman. He turned 101 on Independence Day, Saturday, July 4th. So, Mr. Hickman, after graduating high school at the age of 17, he volunteered for the Navy. And he served primarily as a gunner's mate for the USS Jenkins, a destroyer that was deployed extensively in the Pacific Theater. Jenkins received 14 battle stars for campaigns that included the invasions of the Solomon and Gilbert Islands along with the Philippines. So I would like to wish Seaman Hickman a belated happy birthday and thank you for his service. I would also like to thank, speaking of America 250, all of the city workers who did so much. And as Mr. Member McLeister said, there's way too many to mention, and unfortunately, who was doing it. But Tricia was the front and center. So I wanted to publicly thank her for her time, energy, attention, talent, all of your thoughts. And then lastly, as we look back on this weekend's America 250 celebration, I would note that birthdays or anniversaries are the beginning. They're not the end. So Saturday's events here in North Canton showcase what we write about, what is good about our city and our country. All day long we celebrated big concepts and ideas that oftentimes feel way too big, like democracy and freedom and equality. But we can make those big ideas, I think, a bit more manageable by calling them different names, such as respect and integrity. So we're living in a time, unfortunately, where a lot of people don't always feel as if they've been invited to the party, but it doesn't have to be that. So I just want to thank everyone who came to our party on Saturday. I had a great time and we made it better. So thank you. Thank you. Member Pierpont.
Okay, I have a random list of things to talk about. One, I noticed today that there's some curb activity happening on Howard Avenue, so that's pretty exciting. I know that when they were working on Pershing, they started to look at that as an opportunity. And so I'm excited about that and want to appreciate our streets department. And I know that those residents are probably going to be great for it as well. Mr. Pratt brought up the flock camera topic. I did meet with a resident recently with similar concerns. And he really was not on the side that he just didn't want flock cameras. He just wanted to make sure he understood that how the data was, the integrity of that was kept. So great conversation. It was a great example of me not knowing a whole lot about a topic and learning from a resident. And then he put in a records request and he provided that quickly and he was very appreciative of that. So that was a great experience. Thank you. I'll talk about America 250. I think that our city knocked it out of the park. I think that it started off with that parade. Liam, you took good care of all of us. He hooked us up with everything, Mr. Bottles, water, Gatorade, all of it. But I don't know about the rest of you. I was going down that street and first of all, there was a really great flyover. I've never experienced something like that right over my head. That was pretty great. But there were so many people. And, you know, obviously it was a big momentous 250th anniversary that I think brought people out, but it was a tremendous showing in this town. And it was a moment where I felt like everybody was one team. Like we were all just doing the same thing. Tons of people saying, "Happy birthday, America." It was such a great moment. So I just wanted to comment on that. And that did carry on the rest of the day. Whatever event I was at, it was still that same huge showing of people, same sentiment. It was just a really shining moment in this city. Trisha did a great job with all the events. I was going to comment that Trisha and her whole family, they were here that whole sun up, sundown, probably the day before, probably the day after. Catherine, your husband was there. There are family members who are not paid to do any of this work, who gave blood, sweat, and tears for these events, and that's amazing. And I want to give a shout out to them. I saw a drone show, and while my view may not have been perfect, the coolest part about it to me was I saw a Hoover Viking in the sky. That was the first I've ever seen of that, so that was great. I did participate in the dunk tank. I got very lucky that I went early on before the big crowd hit. I owe a big thank you to Liam, Jeff, your husband Alan. They all made sure that I didn't break my hip. They took good care of me. So it was a little terrifying for me, and I got through it because of them. So thank you to them. I want to quickly give a shout out to Parks and Rec because I understand that there was some unfortunate mess made over here in Price Park on July 4th with some fireworks. I heard it was really quite messy. Our people show up and take care of that park, and it looks beautiful again. And there may be some other things that they got to work on to fix, but as unfortunate as that is, our Parks and Rec guys are there to fix it right away, and they do a great job. Again, welcome to Ryan Koblenz, our new officer. And I do want to extend sympathy. I'm sure most of you feel the same way to the communities of Rittman for the loss of a police officer last night. And then as well as the community of Holmes, the recent loss of a firefighter. So we extend our sympathies to them. That's my report.
Thank you. Member Moore?
Okay. Thank you for everyone who played the big part in 250. I wish I could have gone to more events, but the parade did me in. Jamie, thank you for the Jeep. It needs to go a little slower. But it was a great time. One thing I want to bring up, I brought it up a couple weeks ago. I asked about garage sales. Garage sales still going up on Harmon Street. It's at least its 10th straight week. We need to do some investigating. I live on that street. I don't want a garage sale every week on that. We need to look at it because it might be a bit, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Doesn't change the signs. It's pointing up there. If we can take a look into that. I had a call from a resident, a minister in the area at the Camp Baptist Temple. He complained, it's on the corner of Furby and Glenwood. The gutter is sort of plugged up. It needs treated. And then his apron on his driveway got torn up by snow shovels. So he wants to take a look at that. Questioning, most of our aprons are black, or not blacktop, but the asphalt's most of them are cement, but he has an asphalt down there. Another thing, as council and as city administrator, one thing we should be looking at right now, Canton just did a big annexation. We need to start annexing stuff. There's a lot out there we could do, make it a lot easier for folks, and we'll make some more money. Did anyone ever contact Columbus?
Yeah, we're following up on
We're
that.
following up. How about anesthesiatis?
We're following up on that.
Okay, because I think that would be a big thing to get. And then we have, was there a something on Whipple? We are getting a proposal for something we're selling on Whipple.
We have land for sale on.
Yeah, I thought we might have had an offer or something of that nature. So we need to start annexing. Canton is now annexed clear up to the Christian church up there, way up there, where Edgewood used to be. They annexed that, and that's a pretty big chunk that they did. So we need to start doing that. We had some great healthy conversation tonight. We're all for the parks and recs, but it does need a little bit, some pending things. Other than that, that's about it. Ward 4.
What?
Yeah, I'd just like to touch on the America 250 and the work that Trisha, Catherine, all of the administration did to make that happen. I plan events too, and I understand the weight of that. Oh my gosh, it's raining, what are we going to do? And just how heavy it is when something doesn't go off exactly as you planned for 6 months for it to go off. That's, I get how disappointing that can be, but overall, oh my gosh, what a fantastic weekend. And I just felt really proud of all of us and the way that our community came together. That was all.
So as we close, I want to recognize what a success this weekend's American 250 celebration was for North Canton. It's exactly the kind of community pride, civic spirit that reminds us why the work everyone did matters. Tonight's legislation was difficult. Last minute changes required patience, flexibility from everyone at this table, but that's the nature of governing responsibly rather than hastily. Hard conversations like these are a sign of a council taking its responsibilities seriously, not a sign of dysfunction. North Canton's long-term future will be built the same way this weekend celebration was, through collaboration, preparation, and people willing to show up for their community. As Theodore Roosevelt once said, nothing worth having comes easily. Okay, final call for new business. Seeing none, meetings calendar. Monday the 13th, committee of the whole, followed by a council meeting. And then we will be on summer recess from July 20th to August 10th. The next meeting will be August 17th, at committee of the whole.
Can I ask if we can, the 17th, we can add a quick council meeting, we do that every summer because the tax budget is due to the county by August 20th. You can read it at the committee, but then have a meeting.
It's just a motion to amend the
Yep,
calendar.
so I will make that motion to amend the calendar to add a council meeting on August 17th. Get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have that meeting. All right. Everybody make a motion to adjourn? Can I get a second?
Second.